I'm Michelle Carney with IdeateTV here at the Dances with Films Festival, and I'm here with
Ben Tedesco, and I'm the writer, director, and producer of a short film here called Obit.
Well, tell us a little bit about your film.
It's a story about a lonely obituary writer in kind of her last few days of work in a small town. So it's a pretty personal piece about that kind of delves into depression and suicidal ideation. So she's really struggling with life at the moment, and kind of unplays in an interesting way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long has this been coming together? Is this an idea that you've had for a while, or?
Interesting enough, I didn't ever really plan to make it. I had originally written it during a relationship that was starting to flounder because of my depression. And the girl I was dating at the time was an actress, and I had written it thinking like, oh, well, if I ever make it, if nothing else, like when she reads it, hopefully she gets an idea of what I go through or what I'm going through and why I was struggling so much at the time. So that's kind of where it started. And then, like, even being here, it's just kind of taken on a life of its own. Again, never planned on really making it, and then don't even remember submitting to a script competition that it won, and then I got a grant, and it just started falling into place to the point that I couldn't not make it.
Yeah. Well,
so,
congratulations on winning that. And I guess, it was a story that was meant to be shared and meant to be told.
I guess so. That's kind of how I look at it. So,
is this the premiere of it? Or?
No, we've screened at a couple festivals before this. One in Wisconsin, Iowa. We actually shot in Iowa. And Phoenix. I had a really special screening at the Phoenix Film Festival. And this is kind of the West Coast premiere. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, what has the process been like of, one, making the film, but also, two, sharing it with others since it's such a personal story?
The making of, like I said, things just kind of kept falling into place that they were supposed to. I wrote it back probably summer of 2022 and then won that script competition in the summer of 2023. And a couple producers at that festival were like, we really want to help you with it. We were supposed to shoot in Waco, and then that kind of fell apart. And then I think probably the most important thing was I decided to switch from Waco to Dubuque, Iowa. And I had reached out to the head of the festival there that I'd been to, and she offered to help basically find us places for cast and crew to stay, help us get cast and crew locally and things like that. And on my way there, I got a call from my dad. I was sitting in the airport. I think I was coming from a job in Dallas and was on my way to Dubuque and got a call that so my dad was a physician, and one of his partners had lost his middle son the day before and there was a moment before that I had been thinking about changing the ending and making it into something that felt a little more hopeful. And what I realized as I was sitting in the airport was the reason I wrote it and what I was making it wasn't for the people around this problem, but the people that are actually going through it. Mm-hmm. And I realized that some of the more impactful things, that whether it's music or things that I've watched that make me feel seen, are ones that don't shy away from, I think, the depths of what it actually feels like to be in that place.
Yeah.
So, I think since then, the people that it has struck a chord with, it's really struck a chord with. At the Phoenix Film Festival, instead of being part of the shorts block, they actually gave me my own block, and we put together a panel and did basically an hour-long discussion with the audience about depression and suicide and portraying it in cinema and things like that. And it was actually a really, really nice, and to me, I think maybe the best way the film could have been presented to a group of people. Mm-hmm. So, and even now, even festivals that I haven't gotten into, I got one yesterday when I got home last night. I checked my mail and I had this really nice typed up letter that the Sidewalk Film Festival in Birmingham does when you don't get in. But there was personal notes from the programmers talking about the film and how much they loved it, and they wished that they had been able to find a place in it. And I know that they don't do that every time, because I've had a couple other letters like that. But so it made me realize that it is a film that is reaching, I think, the people the way that it's supposed to when it's supposed to.
Yeah, well, clearly it's very powerful.
Thank you.
How has the response been for people who've seen it?
Honestly, I feel a little bad. I wasn't able to be at my screening on Thursday because I was working. I was out of town, but according to the cast that was there and the crew that was there, that it was really well received here. So I'm looking forward to hearing more stories from people that were there and what they thought. And yeah. So.
What was the casting process like, and kind of making sure that you had the right team to tell the story?
Oh man, so casting process is a little funny actually. The lead in it, because I moved to Dubuque and was worried that it was kind of last minute and needed somebody that I felt like I could trust, because things were in a little bit of chaos. Like the producers that originally were going to do it when I was in Waco couldn't do it in Dubuque, so it was kind of left on me, and I had a few weeks. And so the girl I had originally written it for, her best friend was also an actress and knows the people in Dubuque really well. And I thought, she can probably pull this off. And I know that she won't be an issue. Like, she's not going to be one of those actors that shows up and causes problems.
Yeah.
And which I was like, I can't do.
That's how
I can't have that. Yeah. I have no idea who these other people, everybody else came from like Chicago or like the Twin Cities, or like drove in, a few local people to Dubuque. But yeah, Natalie was really kind of, it's funny, her last name is Lynch, but she was kind of the linchpin that made, I think, the film really work the way that it did. And she was great. When I sent her the script, and she had some really interesting insights, but she took, I think, the stories that I told her, the personal parts of it, and why the reactions weren't what you would expect for her character, and really took them in and then did a great job. I mean, we knew the first day we did probably the hardest scene in the film, where she talks to herself. So we got one side and then the other, and we shot the first side of it, and almost the entire crew that was there was like just silent. And then my brother, who was in the room next door, when he started cutting it, there was a few people that it's like, I kept watching them come out of that room after they were watching clips of while we were working on other scenes, and it's like people were like, had clearly been crying, and I was like, okay, we are doing what we need to do.
Yeah, you must have known you had something incredible at that point.
So I really feel like, I hope people take notice of what she was able to pull off in this film. So, yeah.
And what's your vision for it? Is it just to get it out to more people, or do you see this potentially becoming a feature or something longer?
I don't think it's going to be anything longer. There was talks before it kind of took this other life that my brother and I had talked about, maybe totally turning it on its head and turning it into a pilot. Because kind of one of the weird things in the film is she talks to the dead people she's writing about. So we thought, we could turn this into something else where it kind of plays on that. But no, actually, one of the panelists that was with me in Phoenix has kind of gotten really behind it and wants to offer what we did there to groups, to companies, to mental resource outlets, things like that. Have them bring us in, we show the film, and then we do kind of the discussion that we did in Phoenix, where she's a meditation practitioner, and just talking to people about bringing down the stigma, and that you can talk about it. There are things you can do, and the daily little things are what do help.
Yeah.
So, and that you're not alone. So we're kind of seeing where that's going. She, like I said, she's totally taken that on. She's built a website and is reaching out to companies now to say like, hey, this is what we want to offer you.
Yeah. It's incredible to hear it kind of have this life of its own and just keep expanding and growing.
So
I know you mentioned your brother a couple of times. Did you work with him on this, or were you just there to support?
No, my brother was the editor. He came on set, and he actually stood in for me on Thursday at the screening, him and Natalie, which he's good at public speaking, but he really doesn't like doing it.
Yeah.
But no, somebody sent me a clip. It looks like he did a good job. But no, I think for him too, it was a good process to get an idea too of what I go through, being a sibling of mine and knowing how personal it was. But yeah, we work together when we can. But this one I think was important in ways for both of us to kind of have that little bit more of a connection of, these are things that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
And, him being in there and cutting it together and seeing that, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure it was really powerful for your relationship too.
Yeah.
But you'd worked together previously?
We have, yeah. We don't like force ourselves to, but when it seems to work, then we do. So, yeah.
Yeah. And do you have other projects that you're going to be working on, or what's next for you?
Ooh, yeah, we'll see. I do have a couple of features that are in the books. One, hopefully we can talk about it a little bit more soon. That'll probably shoot like February, March next year. There's another one that may happen kind of last minute, but we'll see. Yeah, Obit I was never planning to make another short. So, and like I said, it just kind of took this life and it just became. So I'm just letting it happen. And I think learning from that, I've learned to let the other projects that I have do the same thing. And they do.
Yeah.
When you don't get in the way and you don't force it on people, it does seem to find this path to the place it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and people connect with it. They want to share it. They want to see it grow as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's amazing.
So.
Well, for people who want to see it, support you, where can they go?
If you want to see it, our next festival that I know of right now is actually Breckenridge in September. And at some point, yeah, I'm gonna release it online and offer it, and we'll see. If, like I said, the Hallie had started the website Mindfulness Presentations. That's .com. That's what she's using to kind of help us get it out there in a way that is for companies, for nonprofit groups, for things like that maybe offer mental health resources and need a way to connect to people. Because sometimes when you just have it, it's one thing to say like, hey, go and use this app, or, oh, like get a therapist. Like you can do it through work for free, but people still shy away from it because I think they're worried about the stigma behind what that means. So I think her plan for us with this is to bring that down so people feel comfortable, like, okay, you know what, I am going to reach out and see if I can find a therapist, or I am going to start meditating once a day for 5 minutes, or just anything to kind of help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations on the film, and I also commend you for putting out such a personal story. So
appreciate it.
It's really incredible what you're doing. So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I'm Michelle Carney with IdeateTV.